Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Senators News and Rumours, and we have a post-deadline video for you today. I'm Jacob Billington, joined with Dayton Reimer. How you doing, Dayton?
I'm doing well. It's it's draft season now after the trade deadline. My favorite time. So I'm busy, but things are good.
Hopefully covering the Senators, we get to playoff season before draft season.
Would be nice.
And I mean, from the Senators' lens, draft season isn't going to be all that exciting. No first-round pick. That hasn't been given back as of yet. I doubt that it is. I don't have high expectations, but it was about now. It was the day after the deadline when the league gave the New Jersey Devils their pick back, and they just said it's going to be 30th pick. It's going to be the last one of the round. Thought we might see something like that with Ottawa. Didn't end up being that way. But that didn't stop Steve Staios from making some moves. There wasn't as many as some hoped for. Some people didn't like the trade. Some people liked them. So we're going to kind of go through what happened at the trade deadline for the Senators and give our thoughts on all the deals. So the big one for Ottawa was acquiring Warren Foegele for a second-round pick and a pick swap with third-round picks. But for the sense of value, it's a second-round pick for Warren Foegele. Foegele is a great defensive forward. He's a great penalty killer. He can put up like a 20-goal season. Like, he can be a good middle six winger. The Los Angeles Kings have been a black hole, and that has led, for offense at least, and that has led to Jim Hiller being fired, former Senators coach DJ Smith taking over. So he's still on pace for 12, 13-ish goals. Good offensive production considering what LA had going on. What do you think about the trade? Is the second-round pick too steep? Is it really good value? Is he the kind of player they should have brought in? What do you think?
I would go somewhere in the middle. It's a little higher than I would want, but I understand you are getting a former 40-point, 20-goal player, and not like 5-6 years ago. It's last season. He had 46 points. Really tough to be mad at that, I think. Second-round pick, especially with the Senators draft situation this season, I'm not stoked. Because I don't think they have a lot of draft capital after that. You don't want to focus too much on the draft, but also you don't really want to. Have you given up enough to justify not having any draft capital? I would say not. So it's a little high, but also I understand. Sure, you get a nickel and dime for like a third-round pick. It's fine. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it.
Yeah, that's fair. My justification for thinking it is a good deal, look at the last, I don't know, I was going to say 6 or 7, but I can't do that because that's engraved in my brain that I'm not allowed to say the numbers 6 and 7 together.
The bane of all teachers.
Working in the school system can be rough. But look at the last 7-ish second-round draft picks that the Ottawa Senators have had. They picked Gabriel Eliasson. Some promise there, but he might not be very impactful. Tyler Clevin light, kind of. Philip Nordberg, I don't know that he's going to turn into anything. Ben Roger, they didn't even sign him. Zach Ostapchuk, that was a good one. That was a good pick. Was traded, but still good value for the pick. And then that brings to the 2020 draft, which you could say that Tyler Clevin, great second-round pick. But they had 3 that year, and they picked Roby Arventi, Tyler Clevin, and I believe it was Igor Sokolov was the third one. The Senators don't know how to use a second-round pick effectively. Doesn't work in the draft. Might as well trade it.
That is very fair. Yeah, of those guys you listed, if Eliasson is Clevin light, then you're looking at a fourth-pairing defenseman. Which is not an NHL player. He was drafted for his size and his violence. And in my personal opinion, that doesn't make an NHL player. That just makes a scary dude. Yeah. You don't get a lot of those guys, especially in today's game, who make the NHL based on their size and their violence. Tyler Boucher, he was drafted for his size and his violence. Look where he is at right now. He's not trending towards being anywhere close to an NHL player. maybe it's better that the Senators don't have a second round pick. That way they won't add somebody else they don't have to hold on to for 3 years before letting go.
Like, they're just wasting their second round picks at this point. Like, just lighting it on fire. So at least they did something with it. And they traded one for Zetterlund last year. They traded one, like they've had a couple go out. They traded some to get Zaitsev off the books. The Chikrin trade had a second round pick in it. So they've traded a couple too, which I think they've gotten decent value. Like moving Zaitsev for, I think it was a second and a fourth or something like that. That's what it cost, whatever. The Chikrin trade, that was a good trade at the, like, to bring him in. Should have done some more legwork on making sure it made more sense, but value-wise, the trade was fine. Zetterlund,
That's not
I like
a tagline for Dorian's time in Ottawa.
Do the legwork, yeah.
Yeah, should have done more legwork.
Yeah, he wasn't good at that. But I like Foegele. I put out a tweet today. Jay Fresh, everybody knows who Jay Fresh is on Twitter. He put out his, like, I don't know what he calls it, but it's a stat page for all the teams. And Ottawa is at minimum top 10 in like every category except for goaltending and penalty killing. So goaltending is getting figured out. Linus Ullmark hasn't lost in regulation since December 9th. And the penalty kill has gotten better since coaching reshuffle. Foegele is the guy to come in and play alongside Shane Pinto. Like we've seen, Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk can kill penalties pretty well together. They don't play the shutdown. They play aggressive, and that works for them. But then you get Shane Pinto and whoever else as the other forward. Warren Foegele is a great option, and he's got good skating. He can move the puck. I think it's a great addition.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think adding him to this team, they get that middle six scorer. They get somebody who can help with the defensive end of this game, which has been iffy at times. I think it's why you've seen Ullmark struggle in this system. Having somebody who can boost that. I mean, we saw it last night, right? That was a big win against the Seattle Kraken, and Foegele got on the board. Like, I don't know if you could ask for a better immediate result.
And I will say, I'm fully on board with Travis Green. The Senators have a great defensive system, whole team wise. I really like the way that they've played this season. It's just a couple more saves. Like, you give them 15 timely saves, and we're talking about them being closer to the President's Trophy race than the second wildcard spot. Mm-hmm. There's only so much that you can do about that, other than being unlucky and having your goalies not performing. The penalty kill is the only flaw in the Senators' system right now. They're scoring, they're defending really well. Their power play is top 10. Everything is great except for the penalty kill, and then the luck of the goaltender. So bringing in a guy like him is a very clear, we had a problem, we need to solve it. So they did have another player on their way out, and that this was kind of a replacement of the funds. So David Perron, it's been a rough season. He started it. He was dealing with family issues, then he had back issues, and now he's out with another injury. He had a surgery. It wasn't working too well this season for David Perron. He was a good part of the team when he was healthy. He was effective. He played the style that they want to play, and he's a good person for the young guys to be around. But he was traded to the Detroit Red Wings for a 4th-round pick. Now, given the market, some people were disappointed. To me, it makes sense because he's missed so much time, because he's been so inconsistently available. What are your thoughts on the trade? Do you think that it was even worth moving on from Perron?
I think so. His contract's expiring at the end of the season. He wasn't going to sign again, I don't think. At least not at the price point they would want him. It's kind of just trying to get something from someone who's not. It's just trying to get something, right? So I'm kind of in the same boat as I am with the Foegele trade. Yeah, 4th-round pick isn't ideal. I would have liked maybe a 3rd-rounder, but also I can see why. He's currently injured. Last season, he only had 16 points in 43 games, so also injuries in that season. He is also a former 40-point player, 20-goal scorer. But that's a little longer away, and he's 37. I think you take what you can get and try to move him to a team where he could, reasonably finish his career in a better situation. And right now the Wings are doing, I think they're doing better than they're higher than the standings.
They're doing very well.
Yeah.
They're starting to come back down to earth, but they seem to have a good grasp on a playoff spot. All right, after some technical difficulties, we are back. So I have one question for you, Dayton. Was Ottawa's deadline satisfactory? Are you coming out of the trade deadline thinking that they're in a better place? Did they do enough? Considering the position they're in right now, they're a few points out of the playoff spot. They are playing really, really well. They're showing that they deserved to have additions to the lineup. Obviously, they were looking for a top four right-hand defenseman. Didn't land them. But considering everything, did Ottawa do a good job at the trade deadline?
I don't think so. I think this team needed a bit more of a boost. That top four right-handed defenseman was a big need on this team. They have to now go without that. They have to rely on players who are playing above their pay grade, for lack of a better term. You've got also, I think you needed some guys who could really score in that top six. They got someone who can score in the middle six. I don't think it's enough. I think this team needed to really push for that playoff spot, get really aggressive in the trade deadline to find that player that was going to work. Because the East is really competitive, right? It can change really quickly, but also there's a bunch of teams who are looking more competitive than the Senators. Yes, the stats look really nice for the Senators in everything except goaltending. The standings are telling you a different story, right? You are not in a playoff spot right now. And does this team have enough to get into that? And I think it snowballs if they can't get into the playoffs this year. All of a sudden, they're in the contract year of Brady Tkachuk next year, I think, or is it 2 years from now?
2 years.
2 years. So 2 years left on Tkachuk's deal. You need to have a decent, performance to convince him that this is a team that is worth sticking around with. I think that is the conversation we are heading towards. And if Tkachuk leaves, you're going to see other guys start to I don't know if we need to stick around here if the team's not going to win. It's kind of creating a bit of a mess. And I think they needed to really go all in, especially with, we were talking about their draft capital earlier. They don't have enough. Use what you have and try to bring in some big name players, and not just big names. Like Dorion did that. Didn't get enough out of it. Like DeBrincat and Chikrin and Dadonov was a big name free agent target. Which
that ended up
that cost them a little bit more than they were expecting.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah. So I do trust Staios to do the legwork and to get the player that fits the best. So I'm not super disappointed with the addition of Foegele and the, cap relief of Perron, getting a couple of picks from that, or those deals, I should say. But overall, I am disappointed. I think they needed to grab someone like a Robert Thomas or someone like because Uyghur was already traded, couldn't get him, but at least someone on that same level.
Yeah, and I think that there was good options on the right side. Given the trades this year, though, Braden Shen went for a first, a third, drew in, and a good goalie prospect. I'm glad Steve Staios didn't pull the trigger on a big deal like that. Robert Thomas, it would have been Yakimchuk. It would have been 2027 first-round pick. It would have been whatever else has value. Outside of the actual NHL roster, it would have taken everything else Ottawa owns. And even then it's is that enough?
Yeah, that is very fair. Definitely Yakimchuk, probably Halliday as well. You're probably looking at Greg then, moving a lot. And so I do understand that. I do, in the end, have trust that Staios made the right call. I'm still disappointed. I wanted the team to look more aggressive and competitive after the deadline, and I think they look just a little bit more. I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, that's fair. And like, I can't disagree with anything you said. I don't have the same mindset, but like, I don't have a counterpoint. I think that they are trending in the right direction. Analytically, they're at the top of the league in almost everything except for the saves and the penalty kill. I trust this team. 20 games left for a 4-point gap or 5, whatever it is, as we sit here right now. That's very, very doable. They've been gaining points on pretty well every team in the East at some point, and I think they're in a great spot. And whether they make the playoffs this year or not, I don't think that matters a ton. Obviously, it matters. Everybody wants to make the playoffs. Everybody's gonna have feelings about it, but I don't think if they miss by a couple points, it's the end of the world. And I'm not too concerned about it because everything can just be pointed to goaltending, and that's seemingly been fixed. Because like they're playing really well, the goaltending as of late. So I'm not too concerned about the shape of the Senators. And if they miss the playoffs, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I do think that they're still going to make it. And then once they're in, anything can happen. You look at 2017 and you look at guys like Dion Phaneuf scoring big goals, Kyle Turris scoring big goals, Clark MacArthur, and like all these guys. Ottawa has those guys. They don't like it wasn't the superstars. I mean, Erik Karlsson, of course, did amazing, but like Mike Hoffman wasn't a superstar, and he did really well in the playoffs. There's no reason that Fabian Zetterlund can't do that in the playoffs. So like this team, I think once they get there, they're in a great position. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to get the 3 extra points that they need to kind of get in? So.
Yeah, that's fair. I tend to take a little bit more of a negative view, but I also don't disagree with what you're saying. Just kind of like, I don't know, making the playoffs, I think, needs to be a bigger priority this year, just because there's only been one in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
This team, goaltending has been an issue, but to put all of the blame on goaltending, I don't think is the cause. I think you needed some guys to step up a little bit more. Stützle is a 90-point player. Great. We were talking about him as a 100-point player not long ago. I think he needs to be there. Tkachuk is not putting up the same kind of points he had before. He needed to step up a little bit more, I think. Like, are we looking at a 60, 70-point guy? We were comparing him to Matthew not that long ago. I think there are more issues if the team doesn't make the playoffs this year that we could point to than just goaltending. And I think those issues need to be very seriously addressed, or at least considered moving forward if they want to kind of break out of this slump.
Yeah. And like, I get the points. I like agree to disagree. I understand the points you're making. I'm just not as concerned about it. But so that'll wrap things up for this episode. 2 different opinions here on lots of things, but that's kind of the point of having these conversations, is to get the different perspectives, see what other people think. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe. And we will see you on the next episode.